Hi, welcome to the Stockinit Zombies. I'm Amy, also known as Janitma.
And I'm Megan, also known as Just Run It. And this is episode 245. And we decided we needed to get together at a non-traditional time to do kind of a proof of life video. Proof of non-zombification? I don't know.
Yeah, we had been planning on recording last week, but man, the colds and everything have been hitting us hard. So
yeah, work, and then the week before you were at Grace Hopper, and it's been crazy. And I feel like we start every episode now kind of making excuses, and I'm going to go with we don't need to make the excuses, like that's our real life, but just know that the podcast and is important to us. It's just kind of taking a back seat to some real life things.
Daily things.
Being overworked and having kid stuff, right? Like you can't really be like, sorry, mom can't do it. She's got a podcast. Which I did kind of feel a little bit like that. We're actually recording during the day and kind of was like, hey kids, out of the living room. But other than that, how was, I'll ask you about Grace Hopper because you had talked about it on the podcast. It went well, looked like a lot of fun.
Yeah, I just did not realize how big and overwhelming it would be. There were 18,000 plus attendees.
Wow.
That's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And when you first go in to register and, you can see 30 some stations checking people in and getting them passes so that they can get to their event spaces. And then I was helping recruit at my company's booth in the career fair. And the career fair was amazing. It just had everything. So every company you can imagine needs women in engineering. So obviously there was Google and Amazon and those bigger tech companies, but then Nike was there and HBO and just things that I wouldn't have thought of. Goldman Sachs, obviously they're writing algorithms to find the best investments and whatnot. Plus they said that they need civil engineers because when they make real estate investments, they have their own engineers to go check out the properties. So it was just enlightening, I guess, to see that much interest from companies in women in engineering especially. And I think that a good challenge for the STEM careers is to get to that 50-50 or real representation. I find that sometimes industries can skew towards a certain demographic, especially in the higher levels of the companies and whatnot. And so this was just a conference about trying to make people aware of what women in technology are actually doing and accomplishing and why it's important to have women in technology. AI was really interesting. So they had robotics and talking about how they're developing robots to be therapy robots. So you, instead of spending a lot of money going to a therapist and maybe you can only afford once a month, maybe you could get a robot and then you would be able to interact with the robot daily in a therapeutic way.
Wow.
And they found that it was working really well with autistic children. So autistic children might not necessarily be able to get through therapy because of expense or whatnot. And so they were starting to work this into treatments, not necessarily treatments, but coping skills and whatnot, and having the robot there. And then it wasn't necessarily interacting with a person, kind of like they say, if you're nervous at public speaking, say your speech in front of an animal because it's less nerve-wracking. They were trying to develop robots that would help do that interaction. And they feel like if you don't have a representation of everybody developing that stuff, you might have biases put into the software that you weren't aware of because you're only grabbing sources from one spectrum, one person instead of the whole spectrum. I don't know. Made sense. Lots of brilliant women. Made me feel like an underachiever, that's for sure. Got to see the inventor of Goldie Blocks. which is a toy that you can find. And she was interesting. Like, I thought it was interesting. In her speech, she relayed the fact that she got C's at Stanford. I mean, it was Stanford. Don't get me wrong, but she wasn't like one of those A+ all the way students. And sometimes you think that, to be successful, I need to get the grades, and it's like, well, or you just have to have a passion. And so that was her takeaway: is that you got to find that passion project and take it through to the end.
I mean, I think grades are important sometimes when people are getting their foot in the door. But yeah, I doubt that a lot of people like our age, if they're applying for jobs, would put their GPA on their resume, right? Like
exactly.
It doesn't have as much as your soft skills or your drive, like you were saying, your enthusiasm for what you're doing. Speaking of enthusiasm for what you're doing, I had the Individualizing Medicine conference that I posted my kind of proud moment for my team. It was the first time. This is my third year in this subject area. I had transitioned over in my job as a team lead, and so I was just super proud of my team that we had a poster and that we were doing something that was presented and talked about a lot. Although we weren't the buzzword of the conference. For any genomics folks out there, the buzzwords were cell-free DNA, liquid biopsy, and the microbiome, which is your gut. So they're doing a lot, with those. You've seen those ads now where you send in your poop, and that's the microbiome, and the microbiome folks like to joke about poop a lot. So okay.
I was going to say the buzz in that STEM career fair was data analytics. Everybody had specialized in data analytics, big data.
I'm surprised they weren't using the buzzword data scientist.
Oh yeah.
Okay. I was gonna say, that's big in my area too.
Data scientist was on our sheet, but a lot of the girls, the young girls coming up to us, would say that they were specializing in data analytics.
Yeah.
So they weren't, they would probably say I'm a data scientist, but they were trying to say.
I work with people that would say data analysts are much different than data scientists. You should never call yourself a data analyst. You are a data scientist. So, yes, sorry. But yes, our worlds kind of intersect there then, right?
Yeah.
There was machine learning sessions, so using technology to solve different problems.
Yeah, I met a girl, a PhD student, who was doing machine learning and data analytics, and then had something else in there, and I was like, oh, you should be applying at the Mayo Clinic.
Yeah. Come do genomics.
Kind of doing rah-rah Rochester on that one.
Yeah.
Not necessarily for my company, just saying, hey, come to Rochester, because I think that you would be well suited. No, brilliant girl. She just wants to stay in the Northeast, though.
It occurred to me, speaking of, I'm going to swizzle back to knitting here, that when we were talking about suddenly September.
Oh yeah.
OOFTA October.
OOFTA October.
OOFTA October, which is actually using the word in the correct context. So I'd say probably monthly, maybe twice a quarter. I get so that would be every other month. If you're doing the math. Ish. I get contacted like, what do you say at the end of your podcast, and why are you saying it? And I was like, well, it's kind of nonsensical. It's just a colloquialism from where we're from, OOFTA, and then I'm saying bye in front of it. So OOFTA is actually a saying of exasperation. So October OOFTA, that works. Yes. Bye OOFTA, not so much. Other than I'm exasperated that we have to say goodbye. And that we've made it through all of that talking. So yes, it's October OOFTA, and I've gone a little Socktober crazy.
You have. I see it over there.
I've got a lot of sock yarn. It requires zero project planning, and I think at this point I can knit skews in my sleep, and so I just do.
Okay. Well, I think that's a decent segue, but we should talk about our KALs first.
Yep, the self-striping and the friendship.
Yes, and then I am still working on those hexies. We got a few more months to go, to get our Persian Dreams blankets.
Yep, I am not being rude, but I wanted to bring up the friendship cowl.
Yep. So Silver Dreamlands podcast, she has a bundle of patterns. They're mostly wristers, cute little fingerless mitts.
Mm-hmm.
And she wanted to gift some patterns to us for the Friendship KL, so that will be another prize along with our yarn and bags. And again, if you enter that, you're entering to win 2 things that are kind of matchy-matchy, one for you and one for a friend.
Mm-hmm.
So.
And I've been loving the FO pictures, especially
Yes.
of the ones where, like, here's me with the thing that I knit with the person I'm giving it to, and then their friend gave them something, and just completely embraced the Friendship Cowl Challenge.
Yes, and we do need to determine what our separate prize is for having pictures, because I noticed that not everybody has a picture with their friend, so we need to make sure that those...
There'll be something super awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's all awesome.
Yes, that too. I'm jealous. I want it. And then I went through, and this one was a little like, been holding on to it too long, but I want to give it to a good home that will actually knit it. So this is Vesper sock yarn in the Hocus Pocus colorway. So you can knit it up, and at this point, and when I pulled it out, it wasn't reasonable that you could knit it in by Halloween, but now that time's past us because of October OOFTA.
Yes.
So for the self-striping September prize, I've got this and one of my patterns. So I drew for 2 numbers, 2 through 1,118, 691 and 1040. So 691 is Super Fox Rocks Leslie, and 1040 is Joy Hill. They both knit socks. I don't know if they were both DVD socks, but I follow Super Fox Rocks on Instagram. Mm-hmm. She's got lots of pretty stuff out there, including, I think, Desert Vista Dye Works socks. She's doing the monthly challenge. And then Joy Hill got some pretty socks as well. So contact me if you're interested in the pattern. Let me know. If you're interested in the yarn, let me know. And whomever contacts me first gets their first choice. First.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, it looks like you have a nice pile of
October
over
socks.
there.
So I have a brand new lover of socks in my home, and he's actually laying on the floor playing iPad over there. But he asked me if I would knit him some socks. You want to come say hi?
Hi.
Well, you gotta come get on camera.
Hi.
What's your name? Well, you gotta get up here.
Quentin.
Quentin. And are these your socks? Did you pick these out?
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you love socks?
Yeah.
What do you call them?
Yarn socks.
Yarn socks. Yarn socks. So he loves yarn socks. So I knit him a pair of these, and they are in the You Betcha colorway. Can you put them on?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. And then his were the first ones because he chose this yarn. And then I knit myself a pair of skews in it as well. So I love how it's striped. I was kind of hoping that mine would be a similar, stick your feet up.
Oh yeah, it looks the same.
A similar effect, but these were more streaky as far as the stripes, and his were more of a nice little repeatable blend, I would say, with kind of dashes of black throughout.
Yeah.
So, and I'm going to knit you more now, right? Because you love yarn socks?
Yeah.
All right. Okay, grab your... So then there's... Now you can play. Now you can wear them. I can't get you a game right now. And then, what else did I knit these. I think these were the beginning of my skews that were not the matching socks with the kids. And this, I believed Craft Stash gave me at the first ZK.
Oh, okay.
So it is a fiddle knits. It's a really nice, springy, like dense base, and it's a mint chocolate chip colorway. And another pair of skews. I really like how I don't know, there isn't a yarn that I could throw at skews that I wouldn't like, but I do like when they're super variegated like that, where you get a line that shows that it's on the bias every once in a while, I guess. Excuse me. And then I took my leftovers from my Love Always, the Marigold Jen rainbow mini set. I had leftovers. I need to post it on Instagram, and if I do, then you guys will be able to cheat. But I ran out of the green, so there is one more green stripe on one of them.
Oh, wow.
Than the other, but it's kind of a, yeah, you wouldn't notice it when they were on my feet, obviously, but when you look at it, like one of those, what is different in these two pictures?
I would not be able to spot the difference.
Yeah. And I really like this, and then it's a speckle in there, and I really like it when I get to control the stripes. I'm kind of a control freak that way. So lots of ends to weave in with that, but I do like that I have the same number of red stripes as I have orange stripes as I have green stripes, except I don't on one of them, as I have blue stripes, and that it never gets thicker or thinner, which self-striping does if you don't stripe it yourself. And then last but certainly not least, I have 3 Irish Girls in their Adorn Luxe base, and this base is luxe. I really like it. Like while I was knitting with it, I was like, I can't believe that this is 85% merino, 15% nylon. It's really nice. I knit mine first, even though Ellie had picked out this skein.
Okay.
Again, I was just like in knit the skew mode. And so then I just finished these today. I was doing something where I wasn't paying attention, and one of them did not have the heel turn.
Oh.
It just went right into the heel flap. And she tried it on, so it had these are the Spacious OMG toe-up socks. I believe this is a 26. Somebody asked me how I knit my kids' socks, and basically they're just the Spacious OMG, and then I don't do a top, obviously, but and then I use like a 26 or a 24. If it's a thinner yarn, maybe a 28 for her stitch count, but yeah. Just went right into that heel flap, and she said that it fit fine, but then I don't know, if I had them on, I don't think I would like that it was just immediately heel flap.
And that 26, 28, that's half the stitch count, right?
Yes, sorry, per needle.
Yeah.
You're like, those would be teeny tiny.
Really
yes, sorry.
small.
In my mind, I do, my cast on is like 8 stitches, and then, because it's per needle.
It's only counting per needle.
Yeah. In my mind, it translates to per needle for me. And that's all I count, because they're always mirrored, right? Always the same. So yes, and this is a Duluth-inspired colorway by 3 Irish Girls that I got at Yarn Harbor. Ellie picked it out while I was souvenir yarn buying and said that she would love to have something out of it. And I've gotten lots of compliments from people that have seen me knitting. Oh, I really like those colors together. And so, yeah, I ripped it out and I put her an actual heel into it.
Some people like the striping, but I really dig that smaller circumference.
This one?
Really cool.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, it's enough different that it looks random, but it kind of repeats, and yeah. Yep. It's a fun thing to do if you have a variegated that's kind of pooling weird for you. Make something for your kids. Yep. And again, this kind of striped, but in a cool way, right?
No,
like you got like a outline of blue with a green in the middle, and an outline of purple with a pink in the middle, kind of repeatedly until you got up to here. And I think I purposely put I didn't have a choice on this was my first one. There was a big green, and I like green, but I thought it was a little disruptive, so I put it on the bottom of the foot. And these are all left-right. I didn't accidentally do right, even though I left Ellie's heel turn out. And then I'm not at liberty to share, but I test knit a cowl for my friend Corey. Well, you can see it later. I can show you that. But it's coming soon. It's coming at Needles Up. It will make its debut. And this is out of Dream in Color Smooshy with Cashmere, so it's super smooshy, and I really like
some of that
that blue. And it didn't use a full skein, so I could do something else with that pretty blue as a complement to something. Quentin's been asking me to knit him a hat now because I knit Dexter a hat last year and Dexter's been wearing it. So maybe that's what will happen. But those are my FOs.
Okay.
How's about you? Ooh, I like that.
So
got that out after
yeah,
I started recording. That's pretty.
so I had gotten a souvenir skein from Karen Bulky when she went out west for her trip, and it's a Knitwit skein of yarn, and it was much darker than this turned out because I paired it with a white mohair, and then it knits up like super bulky in that mohair. And this is just me casting on a certain number of stitches and then making a seed stitch, and then so it's a super like loose slouchy hat.
I love it though.
Yeah, and I was just thinking I was gonna have my mom make me one of those faux fur pom-poms for it, and then it'll be finished. But the knitting part's done, and the next time I see her I'll pick out the faux fur to pair with it.
I shake my head at you, Amy. No, I just, it's fabulous. If I saw that at a store, I would be like, ooh, wow. And then I don't know that anybody looking at it would realize that you had the ingenious moment of comboing the yarn with the mohair to make it super fuzzy and kind of marled. And
yeah, well, I mean, I can't take 100% credit because I saw a kit in the Three Irish Girls booth, and they had paired mohair with yarn. Now, I don't know if it quite had the super variegated with it, but probably, because they do have those in their group. But this is kind of a speckly yarn. So it's a speckle with a...
And the texture really makes the different colors pop when they come to the surface with the bumps, with the texture.
Yeah, so that was really fun. The only unfun part was that I misjudged the gauge a couple of times, so I had to rip out mohair. Just don't. If you cannot, don't. But I wasn't sure if I'd have enough, so I had to rip it out.
And then the big monster.
Yes, so this is my Shade Shift by Josh Ritz, and you can see that it is quite large. It's got 5 skeins of yarn in it, with some leftovers, but I did need to get a second skein of this blue, this squishy blue, and now I have a bunch left over that I can make some shorty socks with, but it was necessary because I can't even remember where I joined in, but it wasn't.
Have you been doing some weaving in?
I think I probably did the join on the end. Whatever. I know
knitting
that
forensics.
Yeah, I know it was somewhere in this last grouping, so I still had a lot to do. But yeah, it was a fun knit, and I got stalled out on it, but mainly because I ran out of yarn. And it has not been blocked, and the ends need to be woven in, but the weather kind of turned on us, and it's a monster, so I would need a lot of room indoors to block it. So I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that.
Yeah.
It might have to wait until spring.
Yeah.
Where I can actually get it outside. But yeah, big shawl.
Smushy, textured, wonderful colors.
Yep, got 5 skeins out of my stash, which is lovely.
I forgot my
here's
other
the leftovers of the blue.
Oh, yes, you have quite a bit.
Yeah. And then the leftovers of all the rest, you can make a pretty good something.
Yeah.
So, something
like you were doing there, fade in and out because you already have the color combo.
You can make a love always.
Okay. I'm going to jump up and grab, I forgot to grab my other work in progress.
Oh, well, that's all I had for finished objects, and I am working on Halloween socks. So I have a DVD, somebody said Boo or something like that. I think a Boo in the name for sure. And so they're Halloweeny, and I got one sock done, and I'm working on the other one. Finally turned the heels, so they're going to be they're going to start to zoom. So those will be finished next time, for sure. And then my other work in progress, well, I had two. So I will talk about my hex. So I have this, and after I cast this off, I will have 5 more to do. So I have not been working on these very much. But I will get back into it for sure.
Fall is for color work, I feel like.
Yeah, and I've been out of love with the color work for a while now, so this will be, I don't know, hopefully I can jump back in and it'll be fun again. Mm-hmm. But this is just the cast off, so maybe cast off, cast on, get a few rounds of color work in, and then hopefully get the mojo back.
Yep.
And then the thing that has been taking a lot more of my time, I worked on this on my way to Grace Hopper.
And where was that at?
Sorry. It was in Orlando this year.
Wow.
It's going to be in Houston next year.
So you flew down there.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't even know. I didn't even know you were airborne.
I was airborne. I have the back done. This is a Henley, and it's got the funny name. Oh, and my pattern isn't in here. Starts with a V, was in interweave. I'm sure it can be linked. But I have the front of the Henley done. You can see that nice large opening. Mm-hmm. And then I cast on a sleeve last night, so I am on my way. I am over 2/3 done, right? That's what they say when you get done to those sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
And then I will undoubtedly want to seam it up immediately and get the neck going as soon as those sleeves are cast off. But
yep,
this is my Woo-Boo from and so I'm a little nervous because I've already knit it kind of big, and this stuff grows, and I felted it the last time I tried to wash it and dry it. So I gotta be very careful with this, and hopefully it doesn't grow too much when I try to wash and block it.
Quentin, can you go downstairs, please? You don't felt it when you try to wash and block it?
Yeah, it just makes me nervous. The last time I used it, I ended up felting it, so
yeah.
I'm sure it'll be fine. Lesson learned.
Yeah.
I think I put it in the dryer and walked away without it being set on a timer. And
was that a new cast on, or was that something that you had previously cast on?
I had this much of the backside done.
Okay.
And then it sat in hibernation for like a year. So other sweaters just kept jumping in front of it, right? Just something new catches your eye and holds your attention. Mm-hmm. And so this one is now holding my attention, so that's great. And hopefully, now that I've got the front and back done and it's just sleeves, it'll be like, sleeves are easy. There's not too much to think about there. It's all increasing. Don't have to worry about decreasing and then increasing and then shoulder shaping.
Yeah.
A little bit of shaping, but.
And I'm a big fan of Henley's. It may be my body type, but I like where it draws a line on you.
Yeah, I don't know if I did that one low enough because there was so much length in the whole body. Like, I don't know, it must be 2 or 3 more inches than was intended in the pattern. And so I'm just hoping that when it's all said and done, it doesn't look like a tent on me.
Yeah. Well, and I don't know. We had 3-4 hours of soccer games this morning, right? And I'm wearing a big old something, right? It just, everything has utility. It would probably be less of a wear to work with just these slacks, or more of a I'm cocooning at home.
Cocooning, yeah, exactly.
Cocooning at home.
That yarn is lovely, so I'm sure it'd be good cocooning. Yeah, cocooning yarn. But that's what I have that's current. Like, I've been working on those all this week.
And so you're still whipping down to 0.
Yes, although you had asked me if I had a cast-on that I was lusting after, and I think that my only cast-on wish is not any sort of big project. It's just to cast on more socks, and with the intention of knitting for other people.
Yeah, because you said a lot of your current whips are just for you.
Right, and it's been that way for like, I think I finished all of those current whips that were for other people first, because that was what was motivating me.
Mhm.
And then now I'm down to the ones that are kind of selfish, and like, while they're fun and interesting, I don't know, it's starting to wear on me. So I want to kind of inject some socks in there for the kids.
Yeah, I enjoyed knitting this. Well, A, they go fast, but B, it's fun to have another kid that is interested in having socks knit for them. Dexter was always very interested, but he never wore them.
Yeah.
And now Quentin, like I'm literally using Dexter's foot cutout from last year to measure Quentin's socks. So he's now wearing the ones that Dexter didn't ask for but didn't wear. Like they were worn once. And then he doesn't pull his socks clear up to his knee bone,
Mm-hmm.
to his patella. So that's nice. So I just realized these are very similar colors.
Oh,
Which
yeah.
may have been why I was like, well, if I'm not going to knit it, it should go to a good home. But this is actually Sun Valley Fibers. I believe I knit myself some skews out of it back when we were doing the skew along. And had quite a substantial amount of leftovers, and Quentin said he would like some socks out of it. So I think it's Silly Me is the colorway. And then my other thing that I've kind of, like you were saying, stalled out on, and I think it's just because when I was knitting these for myself, you can see I've got lovely notes on sprawling pieces of paper. This was the point in which the Rav Olympics, where it was getting down to the wire, and I quit taking as good of notes. And so I'm in the part of the design process where I have to really know, like, start really writing down what I'm doing.
Oh, leggings.
And also like figure out what I did in the other ones. So like knitting forensics on what I did on my pair, and also write it down better because I'm not able to figure out what I was talking about when I was writing down over here. So yes, these are Ellie's leggings in a pattern of mine that has yet to be named. I officially have a daughter who has, and this is very misleading because the ribbing is it elongates when it shrinks down, right? When it kind of goes in on itself, it elongates. But I officially have a daughter who has legs longer than my arms, which is kind of surreal. I don't know. Do you think about those things? Do you think Lucy's got legs longer than your arms?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
She's there already. She was sitting next to Grandma on the couch while we were watching her movie, and I was like, gosh, her legs are almost as long as Grandma's legs. You know, just like, because they were both stretched out, I can take a look at them. Yeah.
And I don't know that it's going to come across correctly on this. So I've got both of them, and I'm to the point where it's the solid pink, which is kind of the fake little shorty short part of the legging. And I just keep on looking at them and going, oh gosh, what is it about this color combo? So this is the Orange You Happy It's Pink by Cyborg's Craft Room, and then this is Global by Fiber Addiction M. And I think I figured out it kind of takes on like a pastel neon bright rainbow, because like you see pinks and reds and oranges here, and then the super variegated is greens and blues and purples. And I was like, it's a rainbow, but it's just kind of like a hidden rainbow, I guess. And that's why I find it super, like when I look at it, I'm just like, isn't that so pretty? And I always see like, ooh, that's a pretty stitch. Oh, I like that one. So yeah, I tried to take a picture. It's so funny the things we do for knitting. I tried to take a picture of like a blanket stuffed into it, because at this point it would look like I was putting like chaps on Ellie if I tried to take a picture of her wearing them, right? It would look almost a little indecent.
You could just take pictures of her legs,
I guess. And then that looked really weird too, like stuffing a blanket inside of a pair of leggings.
Lumpy.
It was like lumpy and weird, and so this has not been appropriately photographed for documentation purposes, but so yeah, I'm to the point where I need to figure out the number of stitches to cast on, start doing the not ribbed part for the inner areas, because we kind of talked about that. It looked weird that they're, when I knit them, or mine, it looked weird, like to have crevices in there. So they're just, that part's just plain stockinette. But again, my notes did not suffice because I went into like, gotta get this done for Ravelinix power mode. So, and then my needle adjacent project that I think is going to New York with me. I am leaving tomorrow for Rhinebeck because I'm visiting my brother at the beginning rather than after Rhinebeck this time, because Knit Cahoots and Minnesota 52 are going to be at Nitty City in New York City on Thursday, and then we're going to be at Needles Up. You can look at the trunk show at Needles Up, and then go to Rhinebeck in Book Row, where we will be selling and signing the book. Cool. Which is super exciting. And then we will also be at the Perfect Blend in Saugerties on Saturday late at night, I believe. And then Sunday is just a hangout at Rhinebeck until the latest possible moment that we have to get back up to New York City and fly home super late. So I'm going to be gone from a Sunday to a Sunday. And right now my life is so crazy between work and soccer and kids and everything else that it's kind of nice to just think about like not having some of that. I mean, there'll be the travel crazy and visiting my brother, sightseeing crazy, and you know, vacations you stay busy, but it will be a different type of busy. It'll be like a catch my breath busy.
I'm hoping for a staycation type of thing here. We got MEA. So hoping for something relaxing and not too much going on.
So my friend Susan was saying that she was having some trouble getting her knitting mojo back, and I asked the question that I often ask people when they're trying to finish up whips and are really sad. Like, oh, I'm just knitting the same thing. And I was like, well, if you could cast on anything that you could possibly want to knit, what would you choose to knit? And she didn't really have a great answer for me, but I was like, I want to knit the Sunset Highway. I've been seeing so many of them and wanting to kind of not tosh, although I do have a lot of tosh, and there is Madeline Tosh here, toss my stash and figure out some combo. But that was the very reason that I didn't do it, right? Because it needed too much project planning and forethought and figuring out the yardages and do I have enough of this. Thankfully, it's pretty easy for me. I just need 2 of the main color and then less than a full skein of the 3 contrast colors. So I just could change. I just had to pick something as the base that I had 2 of, which I picked Yarnakuken. And then I picked a pretty pink Coquette Ducks. That must be part 2. Another Leading Men Fiber Arts, Cherry Blossom, and then another. These are all of it except for the Madeline Tosh here is the Spotlight base. So it's BFL and nylon. So that's going to be the bottom, and this is going to be the starting color, and these are going to be the 2 kind of roughly. I printed it in black and white, so it's not quite there, but yeah, I mean, socks are really great travel projects, but I kind of wanted to like get myself out of this knit, skew, repeat cycle.
And I think like that selfish knitting thing, I could probably, because there's some babies coming into my life through coworkers, so I was thinking like, oh, I could cast on, because I know one was a girl, I could cast on a baby sweater dress. And so I was just thinking of things that one skein basically, and not for me. That was the criteria for what I would really like to cast on right now.
Yeah.
It would be nice to go through some of my partial skeins too, and find partial skeins that work for kids socks. That would be great.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, that's basically, again, what I've been doing, right? Like, okay, well, I'll just grab this skein that's either a full skein, I'll knit myself a pair of skews, or Jeremy something, or whatever, or if I've got leftovers, what kid am I knitting it up for? So yeah, I should have grabbed, I have quite a bit of enabling and some more coming. And I'm sure I'll return home from Rhinebeck with some purchases. It's just in the air. Like, you can't, it's undeniable. You can't, like, go through there and be like, oh, this year I'm not buying anything. I mean, like, it's just, you're in the moment, and everybody around you is buying, and everybody's excited about the wool, and, yeah, I don't know.
You've just eaten an apple cider donut, and you're just full of wonder and
I know, right?
magic.
I'm trying to imagine my weekend because I still need to pack. I'm leaving tomorrow around lunchtime. So, but that said, I didn't grab it because we're trying to keep this to a manageable
Upload.
Upload.
She's got work to do after we get done.
Yes.
Yeah, as far as stash enhancements, I did get my e-spinner.
Oh, that's right.
Since the last time we recorded, and I am really enjoying that, and thus have not made any other purchases at all.
Yeah.
I have been adding some things to my Christmas wish list, though. So like there's
add-ons and.
Well, one add-on, but then like any like sweater heart's desire thing that I've seen, I've been adding it to my Christmas wish list instead of trying to. And I was thinking about one of those Instapot things too. Like, so again, like any purchase that seems like, oh, that'd be a good Christmas gift. It's been going on the Christmas wish list because, yeah, I recently spent some money.
Said the Christmas word. I'm sorry. Not yet. Halloween.
But the wish list has to happen, right?
Otherwise, if you wait, then you've bought the stuff that would have gone on the. Okay.
Well, and it's helping me to not buy it, right? It's like, oh, I'll just put it on that list, and then maybe I'll get it for Christmas. And I have a lot between now and Christmas, so yeah, I hear you. I got somebody turning 12, and he doesn't want a party, doesn't want friends over, so I got to figure out how to make a birthday party. So I guess just a family one. Yeah. But I'm like, yeah, I sort of remember not doing birthday parties at a certain point in my life too, but I just don't recall when it was.
Yeah.
Was it at that junior high time frame that I was just like, yeah, I had a birthday?
Yeah, I remember having like friends to movies and stuff by the time I was middle school, right?
Right.
Like,
yeah,
just
not
like,
a big thing. Yeah.
Yeah, just like you want to go see this movie, let's grab a couple of your friends and we'll call that your birthday party and we'll go out to eat and go to a movie, and yeah, it becomes more of like what you as an adult would say is your quote unquote birthday party, right?
Right.
Yeah.
But again,
where is that? Where did that happen? I don't know.
Apparently for this boy it is 12.
Yeah. Okay, well, I don't think that we had anything else. Oh, I did have, but we didn't talk about it off air. I did have somebody ask about getting together in Stillwater. And I think like the November 4th time frame looked the best for me, but you haven't had the opportunity to look at your calendar. Wow. So we will hopefully make an announcement out on Ravelry once we have discussed
some sort of official pick date. Yeah, for now I don't know.
Yep.
Gotta look at a calendar, gotta see what's going on.
Yep.
What was I gonna say? I don't think we have anything else that's fit to discuss. So, right?
Everything else.
Shut it down. Bye.
Bye, OOFTA.